In this session, we're going to discuss how to set up users at the enterprise. So a user is somebody who's going to access the enterprise system, and you're going to control what they're going to be able to access. So when I go to log into the system, this screen is going to appear, and then you'll be able to pick who's going to log into the system. Your system does come with administrator automatically. That is called an enterprise administrator. That's going to be access to everything. So to log in as administrator, you would simply click on it. It'll highlight over here and type in the password. Once you type your password in, you hit OK or enter, and it will let you in the system. So from my enterprise setup, if we scroll down almost to the bottom here, you're going to see security, users, and roles. This is strictly for the enterprise. Do not confuse this with location security. This is for when you enter employees here that are going to go at or be available at the locations and set up security for them. That's two totally different things. So a user, again, is somebody you're going to let log into the system with certain permissions. Here I have 2 users in the system. Now, if I want to add another user and I want them to be able to access everything, I just simply come up here to add, put in their name. So let's say we're going to do Angela. We can put a description if we want. I'll just say she's going to be admin. We go to security. Here's where you're going to enter your username. When entering a password, it must be at least 2 digits. It could be numbers, letters, uppercase, lowercase, doesn't matter. I'm just going to put a couple in. The windows, we're going to talk about that in a little while. Right now we're not using scanners. Here are the roles. So what is a role? A role is what the person will play. In other words, what access they're going to have in the system. Now in the enterprise, when I go to add, these are the roles it comes with. So if I want this person to have access to everything, it's real easy. Just simply click on it. Enterprise Administrator. Hit OK. That's going to be access to everything in the system at the enterprise level. So now she's set up as a user with a password and she has the enterprise role. So let's go see how that works. So whenever you enter somebody in, it's best to go log out and then log back in using that user to test it. So we connect. We're going to click on Angela, put in the password, hit OK. So now I'm logged in the system and I have access to everything. Now you can also use Windows authentication. Now since I'm on my particular computer, I'm going to go back over to users, and here I am. I just double click or right click and do an edit. I do have a password already, but I also want to be able to use my Windows to log in. So I click here. I'm going to browse for the Windows ID. There it is. And we always want to verify. Once that's set, you hit OK. Now I can use my Windows to log in the system. So let's go see how that works. So we're going to go log off. Connect. So I go to Alan. Check this box right here. Hit OK. Now I'm logged in the system. So you can use a Windows ID for that. So there are going to be times where you're going to have other individuals that you want to access the system, but on a limited basis. And actually, one of the best ways to do that is to create a role form. And once you create a role, you can actually apply that role to multiple users. So let's go down here to roles and create a role for inventory. So I want to be able to let my store managers be able to come to the enterprise and add brand new inventory items that would be shared across the enterprise. So I'm going to go up to add. We're going to give the role a name. So this is going to be inventory. I'm going to go to permissions. So what do I want them to be able to do? I come down here to add. Let's see what's available. So here's my list of items. We have inventory general. Let's click on that. We're going to hit next. So I might want any of my store managers to be able to edit a batch or be able to batch update. But I don't want them importing in inventory. I don't want them to go do an import. I want to control that. So I hit finish. Let's go look for some more. If I go down here to setup, you notice this setup here, this mirrors the left panel. So I want to either go look for inventory here, or I can just start typing the word in. So inventory materials, I don't want them changing price levels. I don't want them changing conversions or attributes, just inventory. I hit next. I want them to be able to add or modify inventory. Finish. So now I've created a role with specific permissions. Hit OK. Now I can go to my users and start entering them in. So I have a store manager named Bill. I want him to be able to access the inventory. Add. Let's go put in Bill. And this is just for inventory purposes. Security. Username is Bill. And we're going to give him a password. So now I go to roles. Add role. Inventory. Okay. So now I have Bill set up so he can access the enterprise just to get to inventory. You know, the best suggestion I can give you here is whenever you do this, always test it. Make sure it's what you want. So we're going to go up here. We're going to go log off. And we're going to log back in as Bill. Oop, uncheck the box there. Put in his password. Hit OK. You see now my home ribbon is pretty short now. So if we go to enterprise setup, there's inventory materials. So now Bill can come in and add a new item if he needs to. He can search the system for inventory. He can click on an item, right click, he can do an edit if needed. He can highlight a group of items. He could do a batch update. So now I've given him the permissions that he needs to be able to add and edit any items in here. Notice the inventory import is grayed out. In other words, I did not want him to import in any inventory. So you may end up having 3, 4, 5 different store managers that you want them to be able to add an inventory. And you may end up having one of those managers say, well, look, I'm going to let that one manager be able to import it in. So here's where you can modify individual permissions on a user. And this is how it's going to work. So again, we're going to log off. I have to log back in as administrator to do this. And I'll just log back in here. Go back to setup. Now we go to the users. So we're going to open up Bill, and I want to modify his individual permissions. So I'm going to go to permissions. We're going to add. Go back to general inventory. Next. And you see now I have the import. So I'm going to allow him to import also. So I just added that one extra little permission. What if I want to deny him from doing a batch update? Then I would open that up, go to my permissions, add, go back to my setup. Well, I take that back. It wasn't in setup. It was in general. See, I still want him to batch update, but not edit. Then I can override the role and deny it. Now, typically, I wouldn't do that to somebody I want importing in because I want them to be able to edit the batch. But that's the idea. You can override these individual permissions. So let's go see how this works. So we'll log off, log back in. Go back in as Bill. Go to my enterprise. You see now he can import in inventory. So as you can see, we can put in a user, give them full access to everything. We can create roles and apply them to users. We can also change individual permissions on a particular user. And we can use Windows to log into the system. So that's the basics of enterprise security and users.